We have reached the final episode of Vampire Month. In the last month, we have talked about Nosferatu, Bram Stoker's Dracula, The Hunger, The Lost Boys, What We Do in the Shadows, From Dusk Till Dawn, and tonight, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett's Abigail, a movie that was released this year.
Okay, put it the fuck down.
Sammy, little help would be nice.
Don't pull Sammy in. We need to know what she
Just
knows.
let me fucking talk to her.
No.
Peter?
I'll talk to her.
Guys.
Put it down, or you can die right fucking now.
Guys, come
Don't
on.
fucking try me.
Sammy, shut the fuck up! What the fuck? How the fuck did she get out of those cuffs?
Abigail is a pretty interesting cast. Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Kathryn Newton, Will Catlett, Angus Cloud, Giancarlo Esposito, and the young Irish actress Alisha Weir as Abigail. The film's directors, the writers Stephen Shields and Guy Busick, and at least James Vanderbilt and Chad Villella of the film's producers, come out of the Scream franchise. Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett directed both the 2022 Scream and 2023 Scream 6, as well as the movie Ready or Not, all of which were co-written by Guy Busick as well. In both Scream and Scream 6, Melissa Barrera plays Sam Carpenter.
Sherry, Mario?
Thank you. I never drink wine.
Originally, Abigail was envisioned as a remake of Universal Pictures' 1936 sequel to Dracula, Dracula's Daughter, which itself was an attempt to adapt a tossed chapter of Bram Stoker's Dracula. As Universal Pictures tries to return to the success of their 1930s monster films, they wanted Matt and Tyler's film collective, Radio Silence Productions, to create something. In the end, they wisely decided not to mention Dracula and to have the film stand on its own.
I always hated this room. My father turned me in here. A lot of painful memories.
In Abigail, a team of 6 shady operators and criminals are hired to kidnap a girl. They are not told who the father is, but that he will be willing to pay $50 million for his daughter's ransom. After bringing her to a remote manor, it's slowly established that they've kidnapped the daughter of a powerful, almost mythical crime boss, and they've either been set up or contracted for a far riskier mission than anyone told them about.
Joey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about what's gonna happen to you.
The manor in which the bulk of the movie takes place is actually Arthur Guinness's Glenmaroon house in Dublin. The powerful beer family abandoned their Dublin estates after World War I when it was revealed that they had given money to the British during the Irish War of Independence. The disrepaired manor that was first in the hands of the Irish state after Arthur Guinness' death, and then was handed off to the Daughters of Charity, who added a chapel and turned it into a convent school, is a perfect spot for a story about a centuries-old vampire in the guise of a 12-year-old girl, even if most of the decor was added as set dressing. I have to say I'm pretty impressed that Alisha Weir, who plays Abigail, is an Irish girl doing a flat-toned American accent. This movie is incredibly referential, and you can definitely see that the film comes from collaborators from the Scream franchise. All the classic vampire tropes, garlic, holy water, sunlight, are all used against her.
I'm telling you, she's gonna see you coming.
No, debate is over. Decision made, okay?
I got him.
Sammy, those are fucking onions.
Well, I don't cook, I don't know.
The film dispenses with the religious god and the devil stuff we've come to expect from the world of vampires, although Abigail sits in judgment of her father's enemies and those who have betrayed their family. All in all, Abigail is an exceedingly gory vampire film that I will say falls into a subgenre which we really haven't seen this month, trapped in the house with a vampire. Somewhere between monster and slasher film, it ramps up the blood and guts beyond what we've seen over the rest of this theme month. In fact, 7,000 gallons of fake blood were used to make it happen.
Here's the thing about being a vampire, Frank. It takes a long fucking time to learn how to do all the cool shit.
Anyway, before I introduce the panel, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Hit that bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. Also, we are now monetized, so if you have any pressing questions during this live stream, send us a super chat, which helps me keep the show running and which I am obligated by international law, human rights law, to answer. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. All of our after parties are on there forever. We also have a new Discord and a Letterboxd HQ account, so those are 2 more places to follow along with us. Links are in the description. Okay, let me introduce the panel. Conan Neutron, host of Protonic Reversal, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, and frontman for Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends, neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. Kristina Oakes is streaming on Twitch at Cosmopolitics, twitch.tv/Cosmopolitics. Also recently joined YouTube, she's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Cosmopolitics. Send her some subs on Twitch, and send her a coffee. Katie Baldassaro is the co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, a director, writer, and actress who wrote and co-directed Girl in the Basement, along with appearing in horror movies like The Purge Election Year and The Devil's Nightmare. You can catch her voice acting in the podcast series, The Starwell Foundation, and she is the host of What If I Don't Like It, and on TikTok at Movie Runtime. J.G. Michael is the host of Parallax Views, a podcast where politics, history, and culture are examined from perspectives you may not have considered before. Available wherever you get your audio podcasts. I, of course, am a 12-year-old ballerina, the daughter of a powerful crime boss who isn't a myth, and your host, Forrest Miller. I'm sorry about what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, doing this podcast.
Hey, everybody. JG, welcome back.
I must be loyal to my vampire capo.
Yeah.
You know?
So, yeah, this
My
was...
allergies made me sneeze right away.
Oh, yeah, when did you guys see this movie first? I saw it in the theater. Also, JG, welcome back.
What's up?
I think you might be the only one who saw it in the theater. I think we all streamed it.
Well, I told you this. I told you the story of when I saw the installation at its premiere earlier this year when I went to go see American Fiction in LA right before our episode, which they were not hiding the vampire aspect even a little bit, but they had like a little house that you could like walk through. And unfortunately, I had to go to practice for our tour, so I didn't go through it. But they were pushing it hard. I didn't know what it was. Like, Abigail, what the hell is that? So I watched it for the show and like whatever, like probably the most recently I've ever went, like a couple weeks ago. But
You bring up a really interesting point because they wanted to not call it Dracula's daughter because they wanted to maybe hide the fact that she was a vampire, but then they threw it away in the trailer anyway. And I think the key to why I didn't like Dusk Till Dawn is because I didn't get to have the reveal in the movie. Do you think this would have been better with that reveal in the movie?
Yes. I hated the trailer for this one.
I absolutely. So two things. Yes, I agree. And also, I don't think you can do that now. Like, they could barely do it when From Dusk Till Dawn came out. Like, I managed to be, I was just a big, Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino nerd. So, like, of course, I was, like, front and center to see that movie. I'd be like, I don't care what it's about. It's going to be great. But, like, that's just not a thing you can do anymore. It's like things are spoiled in, like, an hour after they're out now.
Yeah, thank you, Internet. But also, too, it's like the trailer misleads you into what the movie is about. Like, the major reveal is her being a vampire. So it's like you go in thinking, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. But then you're like, oh.
Well, it's how they get there that's interesting.
Yeah.
And and that's...
It's the
journey. Filmmaking.
But I do think it's good that they don't reveal her as Dracula's daughter in the movie until, like, the very end, which is kind of funny because both actors, Dan Stevens and the actor who plays Dracula in the film, were both love interests for Lady Mary in Downton Abbey, and I'm like,
yes, good catch.
I'm like, okay, all that's missing is Lady Mary in this movie as a mom, and here we go. You know, like,
there you go.
Could this be the same universe? Could this be a Downton Abbey universe?
Where's that crossover? Exactly.
I'd say yes.
I think it's good they're not like, this is Dracula, and that's his daughter, by the way. So you
get it?
His name is Lazarus, is that correct? Or
Lazar.
it's like almost Lazarus. They're like, oh, we don't want to actually call him Lazarus.
Yeah.
Which would make sense, being the first person brought back from the dead in the Bible, like the first vampire.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're right about it.
Yeah, I'm glad that they gave him like a different name. He's like, I go by many names, and I'm like, that's what you always say in every movie about you, Dracula. Like,
we know who you are. You're Dracula, bro. You're fucking Dracula.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting. Oh, as I said, the genre switch up is interesting here because there's two things this shares in common with From Dusk Till Dawn. It's the genre switch up and also the like, hey, what do we know about vampires scene?
Yeah.
Like, which turns out is like, which is hilarious because they're deployed almost the same way, but they're also different and they're also both very funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that deployment, but I also think it's funny, like, not only do they not know very much about vampires, she doesn't even know what an onion, like garlic.
Oh, amazing! That's my favorite.
You know what I mean?
That biggest laugh line of the movie.
Yeah.
Could I just throw out that there's an extra level of funny there because taxonomically, onions and garlics are the same thing in science. So, like, it's not.
Yeah.
Yes, if she's that much of an idiot, she got onions. But, like, also the scientists who are into that kind of shit are like, actually.
Actually.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Where's Neil deGrasse Tyson to go opine about it, right?
But
Onions
cast-
and garlic
this-
are actually
this-
taxonomically the same exact thing.
Yeah.
If
No
it's
way.
onion garlic, it's just an onion.
Yeah. But regardless, they'll make you cry. But this cast was really good because we're coming at a time where Melissa Barrera had just gotten canceled for being pro-Palestine, right? And so, and also Dan Stevens is a socialist, believe it or not. Very much so. Very
I
lefty
refuse
politics as
to.
well.
I mean,
With a mouth like that, I believe it.
Yeah. And so, like, this was like her first like big movie to come out since she got fired from the Scream franchise. And so this proves that she actually has what it takes to be another queen of horror, if you will, because a lot of people have fit like who's the king and queen of horror movies right now, but also Kathryn Newton has a history of doing, like, besides, Ant-Man, the Wasp, Quantumania, she's also done, Freaky, Lisa Frankenstein. Some of these actors are good at in horror films. And I was shocked that the actress who played Abigail, no training for an American accent at all. She just learned from watching television and movies.
that's great.
Freaky was pretty good. Vince Vaughn and Kathryn Newton, and they
That's a good one.
switch places, but Vince Vaughn is a murderer.
That's one of the few Blumhouse movies I really enjoy.
Yeah, I really dug it. I didn't know anything about it. I was like, oh, it's like a body swap. I'm like, oh, but he's a murderer and it's Vince Vaughn. All right, I'll watch this.
Yeah, I love anything Kathryn Newton's in.
Yeah, she's great.
I like. Yeah, she's great covered in like dead person slime in this too. She's like.
She hated that film. She hated that. I think out of everything, like all the blood, she hated doing that scene. I think she's like,
I hate doing that scene too. It seems fucking It seems horrifying.
It's like a
horrifying
poltergeist
to even
tribute.
to be in that. Yeah, to be in that room. I think the little girl though, Alisha Weir. I think she's amazing. And at first I was like, her accent is like very flatlined, I guess. But then as soon as I realized, like, oh, that's an Irish girl doing like an extremely flat American accent, that like I think that it works really well, because if you're like centuries old, of course the emphasis you put on words here and there or whatever are not going to be the same emphasis or like the same exact accent that we put onto words. So I think the flatline nature of it kind of makes it almost universally timeless.
It's much better than what they had in Highlander with the accent that we got from.
Yeah, let's get the actual Scotsman to play the Spaniard, and we'll play the Frenchman play the Scottish guy.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
No notes.
There you
Since
go.
It is perfect because over time, yeah.
Since we're talking about the caster, I just want to say, am I the only one that thinks Kevin Durand
looks like Elon Musk?
A buff version of Elon Musk? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
Is that a thing? Is that like a meme somewhere?
100.
Oh,
it is a meme somewhere
everywhere.
because someone asked him about it, and he was like, and he just said in his like Quebecois accent, he's like, I would love to play Elon Musk if he would let me or something. And I was like, oh man, please. I mean, they're gonna 100% adapt the Walter Isaacson book and then have him play Elon Musk.
Yeah,
like Jack Elon Musk. It's gonna be like.
The least surprising thing ever was to learn that guy was French Canadian, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Well,
I forgot
actually,
about that.
I don't mind him.
What
I
do
think
you
he's okay.
think
but-
about the idea that his character was not written to be French Canadian at all? The actor brought it up to the directors while they were filming. What would you mind if I just used my normal accent? And they were like, that's great. That adds color to your character. Go with it.
Yeah.
I think leaning into that kind of stuff really makes sense.
He's like a big, gentle giant in a way. Like, yeah, he's like a hitman, muscle man, whatever. But he's like, I just want to have friends. Like, it's so adorable. I'm like, God damn it. Too bad you look like Elon Musk, Kevin Durant.
I can't get it. I'll be honest with you. When I first saw the preview, I thought it was Elon Musk. I was like, they got Elon Musk to be in a movie? I was like, no way. And I looked it up.
That was in a different movie.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad. Like, and I was like, that can't. Let me look it up. That can't possibly be right. And it wasn't, but like
he was vastly in The Strain. That's the first time I saw Kevin Durant. He's like and I completely forgot about that until like
KT is definitely a Vampire Terminator.
Where do I know him from? Because I've seen him in like clips and stuff, and I was like, I know, like I've seen this actor in something that I really liked, and it was The Strain. He was in like pretty much every episode.
Vampire there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on with the names of all the characters and the choices in all the names of all the characters. I didn't really pick up on that on the first go through, but then going through it again, I was like, this has to be important. Like, we're giving each other the Mr. Brown, Mr. Pink, their character names that are all from the Rat Pack. And if you play an old school vampire RPG game called Vampire Masquerade, they have the Rat Pack. Thank you. I knew Conan was gonna get that shit.
Yep, that's right.
They have that pack as vampires because the idea is that any kind of character with that kind of power would have been vampire. They're lounge singers, so they're out at night. Like it makes a lot of sense. And then it goes even further where you can start to see stuff like the sniper was called Don, as in Don Rickles, who was a sniping kind of comedian. And then
he was like the other
Lucy Cruz.
And then Kevin Durant kept calling him Mr. Wrinkles. And
which
is great.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, go KT.
I was gonna say it even goes into their actual character names, like Lucy Cruz, our main character. Lucy being from Dracula, and then Cruz is like crucifixion crossed, and so she's gonna kill the vampire. Like there's more thought going on here. And you said about the trailer making it seem so stupid. I didn't watch this movie because I thought it was going to be stupid. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh shit, there's levels. It's like an onion.
yeah, like
produces clove of garlic like this.
Yeah, no, Conan, no. But what's interesting is when he was immediately giving them all their names, I'm like, oh, it is the Rat Pack. But I'm like, of course, Dan Stevens would be called Frank after Frank Sinatra because blue eyes.
Right.
also, he's the leader of the
tacit leader too.
Also, Rickles being the first one to get killed because he's like an afterthought in the Rat Pack as well. But I'm also like a trope. Well, actually, no, the Angus Cloud's character, R.I.P. by the way.
You were the good guy. He's a vampire.
Yeah, the dude who's always high. Then you get the black guy trope. Like I'm like, okay, they're still following all these horror movie tropes still in these movies. Okay, fine, whatever. I'll go with it.
I think there's a little bit of meta awareness to it, though. Not like at a Scream level, but there is a little bit of meta awareness.
I think in that awareness in the line about like, what do we know about vampires? They're not real. That's a very meta-aware line. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah,
and also hilarious. Second most hilarious line in that exchange, by the way.
Before we get too far away from it, the other thing about naming them after the Rat Pack is obviously the Rat Pack was originally in the original Ocean's 11, where they're doing like the heist thing. So so they're literally naming them after the most which of course that's like the Giancarlo Esposito that Lambert guy or whatever. Like of course that's the first thing that comes to his mind when he's like, oh, I'll name them after the Rat Pack.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this was Angus Cloud's last film before he died of a drug overdose. All of us know him from Euphoria, for those who watched it.
I definitely do not, because I've never seen the show, but I acknowledge it exists.
He was known for playing a drug dealer with a heart of gold. Like he didn't want to enable Zendaya's character's addiction, which was good for him. But I mean, he was really funny trying to hit on Kathryn Newton's character. She's like, no.
I only know him from the fact that he died, and I saw the headline, and I was like, Angus Cloud's a crazy name.
He's also in the Garfield movie, apparently, so that's a thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he's addicted to lasagna.
Lasagna.
If you guys ever get a chance to look up Garfield without Garfield, and they're
I love that.
Oh, it's amazing! It's amazing.
It
It plays off like a Bergman movie. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's so great. I want to know who played in Garfield. Hold on, I'm going to find out.
Conan, I was talking to you.
Normal.
Minor character.
About this.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I was talking to Conan about this film before he had watched it, and I had said that I wasn't sure about the inclusion of ballet in it, because the scenes with ballet made me cringe a little bit. I don't know what good ballet is from bad ballet, because I'm not a ballet. I'm not trained in that way. I'm not a ballet. Like one of them ballets. But in researching this movie, I found a reason why they used ballet that made me go, you goddamn son of a bitches, you got me. I'm in. Do it. Which is that
what is it?
This film features the use of Swan Lake, right? Swan Lake, the theme song, the first time it is ever used in cinema is for the Bela Lugosi 1932 Dracula.
Ah.
And so they're trying to like
Come full circle. Yeah,
All
and also
right. I didn't know. Like, I didn't put that together. I guess.
Also,
You know, I
Alisha,
just watched
she
it long ago,
not trained in ballet at all, like very little. She had to learn like a lot of ballet for this, and I'm like, damn, it's like
They're
Natalie
like-
Portman
they're
for
like,
Black
ah,
Swan.
They're like, Irish girl. Can you do an American accent? Has anyone ever trained you? No. Do you know any ballet? No. Fuck it. You're hired.
You're in the film. Yeah.
She killed it. She
Great
killed
plan
it.
with no drawbacks.
Christina, you were saying that you were talking. You got a like online from the actress who does the other ballet scene. She's
But,
actually
Kathryn-
such a good dancer. They made more dancing scenes for her.
Yeah, Kathryn Newton. She liked my tweet on Twitter. I was like, "Fuck it, let's go." Yes,
Nice, nice.
she's one. I'm like, she's one of my favorite actresses. Too bad I couldn't get her on the podcast for tonight.
I know. Yeah. She's missing out.
What if she was like, sure, I'm not doing anything?
Great. Yeah.
I'm like, do you have piranha teeth by any chance? Because I kind of want them. You know,
What else has she been in? I don't know if I've.
Freaky,
The aforementioned Freaky. Yeah, that's kind of like.
Ant-Man, Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah, I did.
like,
I did see
like-
I didn't see Lisa Frankenstein, but I saw the trailer for it, and I was like,
Lisa
all right.
Frankenstein's so good.
Is Freaky like a sequel to Freaky Friday? And the way
Yes,
that, like,
yes, it
Friday
is exactly
it-
that. Right, Conan? Yes.
Yeah,
Don't give it
exactly.
away.
Yes.
Don't
yes,
give it
it
away.
is.
Yes.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. Correct.
She was in three billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! Damn, yeah. Very cromulent.
Yeah.
The
There was
one.
there was a movie that I was like, I knew her from something, and it's like, yeah.
Well, she's in. It's a small part, but she's in Lady Bird too. And
Yeah.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
her friend, right?
yeah, she was the friend.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
she's like in a lot of stuff that's pretty cool though. I mean, I think she's good.
yeah, she's picking wisely for the most part.
She's also in that horrifically bad Ant-Man movie that is like, hey, let's ruin the concept of Ant-Man because we don't understand what made these movies remotely enjoyable.
Yeah, and people say Marvel's was worse. No, it was not. Anyway,
It's pretty bad.
when it comes to
Oh
casting,
fuck! What? She was the nerdy ass girl in Lady
Yeah.
Bird.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
now I'm putting it together.
KT should rob a bank while yelling, I'm pink chocula, biatch! There we go. Audio listeners will have no idea what we're talking about, but KT's rocking some serious shades right now.
I'm having a bit of a allergic reaction, kind of black eye, so I'm dressed like Dan
To
from
light,
the
because you're a
movie.
vampire. So there
Yeah,
you go.
KT got who bit you? Who turned you?
Yeah, exactly.
I like
Yeah.
the idea that your allergy
I don't
makes
know.
you grow fangs. You're like, I've got an allergy.
It's a really bad. It's just like when we were watching Nosferatu. 2 mosquitoes bit me directly.
Oh,
in
that's
the
crazy.
same spot.
It's
That's
crazy
so
how
weird.
2 mosquitoes bit me both in the neck about 2 inches from each other. Crazy.
Yes.
Germany, you know.
Wow, these mosquitoes are very exacting, just like the rest of Germany.
And like
Um,
going back to Dan
yeah.
Stevens, of course, like I never know when Dan Stevens is working on something unless he starts posting it about on social media. I'm like, oh, he's got a new movie coming out, a horror movie about a vampire. Sweet,
What does he
let's
like
watch it.
update you? Why would you know? Like, why would you like?
Well, he's
Dan
not.
Stevens
He
Films
doesn't.
fan club.
It's like run it
Exactly.
past you. I mean, like Kristina, Kristina, I've got this role.
Yeah. No, but like he's like Killian Murphy. He's not active on social media until he has a project coming out that he promotes that's like about to come out or whatever. Like he's very
Sure.
much like posting about Abigail, was posting a lot about Cuckoo and all that, even though it got no love, but Long Legs did. But he's also doing.
I like that you said
voice acting.
cuckoo because I thought you said cocoon at first. I was like, they remade cocoon. Why would they do that?
Le cuckoo.
Like cuckoo.
Oh
I mean,
they
to be
remade-
fair,
they
Cocoon
re-
did very
they
well in
remade Cocoon,
theaters,
but they're
given
all
its-
Cuckoo is
They made,
fantastic.
but they made it
I
woke.
loved it.
Not
No,
the
okay,
theaters
I was
that
gonna
I
go the
went
opposite
to,
direction.
it didn't
I was
play
gonna
it.
say They
Oh,
remade
dang.
Cocoon, but they're all MAGA now, and they're like,
There you go. Yeah, I mean, he's been in some like the I'm Your Man. That's like I think like 3 people saw that, but he was great in that.
I did.
Like, he was like the only one promoting it. I feel like.
Yeah, he was. He knows how to speak German fluently because the first film he ever did was a German film.
All right.
does that make you know how to do German fluently?
See, I know Dan
Ron
Stevens
Perlman.
from,
The guest.
he's in a movie that Adam Wingard did back in 2004
Guest?
with Micah Monroe. Yeah, The Guest. I like The Guest a lot. The soundtrack, the synthwave stuff.
Ooh boy, he looks nothing like Magna Crawley in that one. Holy
Right.
hell! I was like, whoa.
He's really great in this one too. He has such a Can I swear on here? He's such a bastard in this.
He certainly does. Dan Stevens swears in this more than anyone that isn't written by Quentin Tarantino.
He's so slimy in this, though. He's really.
was trying to
Oh, he's great.
I was trying to get the intro up on TikTok, and I realized you can't put swear words in your videos on TikTok. So then I had to stop this morning, go back, cut all the F words out of that scene, and then put it on TikTok.
It would have been funny if we just put noises over every F-bomb, because that would have been so funny. Beep, beep.
I looked it up.
Awooga!
With just the word fuck, this movie has 224 fucks, or on average two fucks per minute, which sounds really bad, but it's not nearly as bad as Uncut Gems or Wolf of Wall Street, which have 4 fucks per minute. And surprisingly, Jonah Hill is the actor who is cursed on screen more than anyone else per time, even more than Samuel Jackson, just for Wolf of Wall Street.
I feel like that's not that surprising.
Is there an award for that? Is that what would that be? It's the golden soap bar to wash out your mouth.
There you go.
Fucks.
Yeah. I wonder if this is a horror movie with the most fucks, though.
That's a great question.
Like the Golden Chainsaw, but it would be like...
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is 61st for most fucks, so it's not really high on the list of fucks for a movie, but it does give a lot of fucks, not as many as one could give.
Oh boy, Forrest, you're gonna have so much fun editing this one for clip.
I'm just gonna give up. I'll be like, you know what? I'm off this TikTok.
I fucking quit. That's what you would have to say. Dan Stevens is great at this. I love his character. Yeah. It's fucking awesome, if I may say.
So they let him improvise. I was watching clips of them talking about it, and so they let him improvise a lot of his lines on this, whenever he really wanted to. And you can really, you can tell, I think, because he's he kind of embodies that character so much himself. And there's I don't know, it's definitely a character. He kind of rocks the glasses and the thing. He really goes out of his
back hair.
Goes at makes his character big. I feel like, and I feel like the improvising goes a long way towards that.
Yeah, there's another. Well, he played. Oh God, what's his name? There was a miniseries on Hulu about the Chippendales, and he played that Canadian guy who pimped out that one Playboy that Peter Bogdanovich was interested in doing a movie for. I forgot what her name was, but he did a murder suicide, and he was a real piece of shit. So in all, we should just Dan Stevens play weird characters and bastards, is what I'm saying.
He's villainous in this, but I feel like they do the lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good.
Chaotic, yeah.
He's at the bottom of it. He's kind of chaotic evil, but then I guess in some ways is Abigail. But then she has her own rules of engagement, and he absolutely has no.
She has her morality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joey was trying to save her.
That's the one twist. A lot of the twists I feel in this were I was all right, I could see this coming from a mile away. The hint, turning Dan Stevens and having him turn into the villain in the end was a twist that I was this worked for me. This worked really well for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of not surprised because the character is such a bastard, but I was oh shit, he's the guy that's they're all gonna have to fight. He's the final boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
And it shows too that he has the potential to be a screen king, if you will, because of some of his choices in films recently, because a third of the cast are Scream actors. They've done horror movies, or they're known for that, being in that genre.
Where's
as well.
The Scream Actors Guild?
There it is. That's the award. It's the Scream Actors Guild Award. How has nobody come up with that? Are you kidding me? It's right there. It's right there.
Let's do it, Conan.
Put Ghostface on it. Jesus Christ, people. What are we doing here?
He's the most infamous horror villain, and then Freddy Krueger's number 2, so.
It's like a Crypt Keeper joke. The Scream Actors Guild.
Very good.
Yes.
I did get an answer for most curses in a horror movie. It's Alpha Dog from 2006. It has about 420 curses in it.
What? Okay.
Alpha Dog. What is that?
I haven't heard of that.
It's a movie about a serial killer kidnapping. It's got, I believe, the late actor who played
Anton Yelchin. It's got Justin Timberlake too, apparently. Okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
A lot of
Cannot
cursing.
act,
He's
I swear
gonna,
to God.
you know, he's gonna go to jail for all those murders. He's gonna miss the world tour. I know.
Conan, you're not gonna miss your world tour, right?
No, definitely not. I would never.
Good.
I would never. It was directed by the son of John Cassavetes, Nick Cassavetes.
Yeah,
That family legacy. But
Yeah.
you know, one thing I noticed, because I rewatched Ready or Not for this, because I've seen Abigail many times, and I was like, let me rewatch Ready or Not. The cinematography is very similar. That like almost like yellow, year in yellow type of like coloring. That's the best way to call it. Yeah.
You're not wrong. No, I'm just laughing because it's
Yeah.
dead on.
Yeah.
I need to watch Ready or Not. I have not seen that, and I just found out they're doing a sequel.
Ready? If it's not called Ready or Not, Here I Come. What are we doing here, guys?
Yeah.
I'm gonna write to the two dudes. I'll be like, yo, if it's not called Ready or Not, Here I Come, and Melissa Barrera might be in it, like, come on.
Ready or Not 2? Now I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but like that cinematography was like, yeah, you can tell they probably work with the same cinematographer for like both films because they got the same type of vibe. And I wonder if maybe they're setting up a universe, perhaps, if they're, you know, all connected in some way. Because their films deal with a supernatural element that may or may not exist, because that's the same thing with in Ready or Not.
Yeah, these guys are like kind of fascinating too. Matt Bettinelli, Olpin, and Tyler Gillette, I guess. So originally, at least Matt was like a YouTube guy. Like he's one of those like directors that came out of making like YouTube short films. And they had their own channel, and then they have like a collective, and it's called like Radio Silence Productions. And it's all the same guys that like all work together on YouTube on their YouTube channel that now like make movies, but they do it as like a collective. Like it's like all these things are co-directed and co-written, and like it's not just one director, which is kind of an interesting way to do it. I don't know how they divide up like the like the actual directing kind of like action to it, but I think that it's interesting to have multiple people that work together seamlessly, kind of like that.
So they started on YouTube.
Yeah.
So there's hope for us, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's similar though in a way to what the what are their names? I think they're the Filippo brothers that did
yes,
Talk to Me.
Talk to Me, yeah.
There's a lot more of these guys that are going to come from YouTube and start making movies, you know.
Absolutely.
I heard those guys. I heard an interview. It was them and George Miller kind of in conversation with each other, and those two are just so excitable and so like, oh yeah, and then this one, blah blah blah, and then like George Miller, well, gentlemen, when you did this, like it was like such a matching energy level, unmatching energy level kind of like situation, but it was very funny. I enjoyed it. And Ready or Not is good, but Talk to Me is probably my favorite recent horror movie. I would say that is not called Barbarian.
You know what was weird for me about this movie was even like amongst a lot of the horror YouTubers I talked to, it was like very under the radar, which was weird for me because a lot of the horror movie YouTubers that I talked to were like really big on Radio Silence after the 2 Scream movies they did. But this one just like, I don't know what it was, but I felt like it went under the radar for a lot of people. I think it's
so funny.
A classic though in like a few years, you know?
On TikTok, it was like everyone and their mother went to see it. It was definitely all over
fucking
TikTok.
onions.
Yeah.
The fucking onions kept going everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember seeing it
in April. So
the social media thing, like earlier this year, I feel like the presence of it on social media was pretty big. I don't know. Like probably especially TikTok, but I obviously wasn't looking for it there. But
I really wish I would have taken time to like go to that weird art installation that they did at the movie theater when it premiered, because I just didn't know what it was and I had other things to do, and I was like, I don't know what this is. What is this? I'm on a limited time.
Yeah, I would went in there and be like, yo, what's this? Is Sam Stevens here? Is Kathryn Newton here? What's going on?
I doubt they were.
Not. Category in Minnesota? No, in Ohio.
No, I mean this is Los Angeles. This is like the big theater that they premiere everything at. Like that's where I saw American Fiction for the second time, and I guess that's a normal thing. Like they'll do, like they have this like plaza area of that because it's like in a weird mall, and that plaza area they do like installations of like, you know, as a, you know, to kind of catch people's attention as they're like, all right, what are we gonna see? What are we seeing today? You know.
Nice. See my town. See when I move back up.
That sounds cool.
Brooklyn,
yeah.
That's gonna be fun. But yeah,
I also told this story on that episode. Apparently, nobody remembers it. But anyway,
I remember it.
Okay.
I wasn't on.
Now that you said it, I think that it's interesting. Like going back to the question earlier, like would this have worked better with the reveal kind of left quiet?
Because they were not being mysterious about it for this thing. It was like, here's the vampire kid. Oh, okay, she's a ballerina. Right on.
It's hard to if you're like because radio silence is obviously like. I'm sure they're decently known. Like their channel was pretty big. The Scream movies were pretty big, but I don't know if they're like a known enough quantity to kind of pull that off. Because we were talking about From Dusk Till Dawn, and kind of keeping that close to the vest.
Rodriguez and Tarantino. People are gonna watch it no matter what.
Yeah, that's the draw. And I don't know if this movie, you're like, oh, it's the guys that did like the Scream, like not the original Scream, obviously, but
no,
like,
the eighth one.
Yeah, like So I don't know if they have the clout.
Is it the eighth one? I don't know, but I think it is.
It's the sixth
something
and
like
seventh.
that.
Okay, whatever.
We're bored on it though.
There should only be one anyway, but whatever. Let's move on.
No, but they also they remade like the original Scream as like so there has to be. I think it's got to be.
It was a requel.
Yeah.
A requel. Oh my god.
But you're right. Dusk Till Dawn even managed to not say on its VOD box that it had vampires in it.
Right.
Like that's just unheard of. That would never work today.
To be fair, I suspect there are people that went into the like. I've known people that like don't look up movies and aren't into it the way we are.
Oh yeah.
That will just see a movie blind, and I think that would probably be the best way to see this. Is going
like, ooh, a spooky ballerina girl. Okay. Oh, she's a vampire. Well, who, what?
You'd have to go pretty blind. Like I didn't even see the poster on the way into the theater because she looks like a vampire on the poster.
I'm thinking of showing it to my brother and his friends because they don't know anything about it, and they've seen like some of the posters on like Tubi or whatever, like one of the streaming websites. So I may show them and not tell them anything.
That'd be an interesting experiment. Like poll them afterwards. So when did you find out?
Yes.
I feel like they think it's in Nora or whatever the new movie.
The Sean Baker movie. Yeah.
It's not unlike how your mom watched The Substance with you, Forrest.
Yeah.
Substrate.
Yeah, my mom called it the substrate.
I almost said that.
Amazing.
I had to stop myself from saying that right now.
I mean, sometimes you got gravel, sometimes you got substrate. What can you say?
Speaking of substance and eternal youth, how about all the freaking blood that was in this movie? Like, it was more than
so much.
What was in Ready or Not. Like, I know Ready or Not was like they explode in the end. Like, it's crazy.
She wants some fantastic blood facts because I did look that up. This is 7,
Fantastic Blood Facts would be a great podcast name, by the way, or a book name, or a zine, anything.
KT, I think we found our spinoff.
Fantastic Blood Facts.
Fantastic
I'm in.
Blood Facts.
Say less. I've already subscribed. Thank you.
The account hasn't even been made yet.
7,000 gallons fake blood is used in this. And to put that in perspective, the like elevator scene in Silence of the Lambs, in The Shining, is like 400, 500 gallons. So we're talking really a lot. That is not the most. This is much more than The Shining, which is actually so much that it was a problem. It's more than 70,000 gallons, and it was used on a movie called The Iron Lung, and it was so much that the director, writer, cinematographer, all the same guy, had to be taken to the hospital because he breathed in too much of the fake blood from just it being in the atmosphere. That's how much. Yeah, they almost had to put him in an iron lung. Yeah, but Evil Dead, the remake, is pretty close as well with about just under 70,000. So.
I love that it's become a thing for Melissa Barrera now, like where it's become a joke where she's like, "Oh, it's in my contracts that I have to be covered in blood by the end of the movie."
Yeah,
it's the law.
That's how you know it's over. How much blood is on Melissa? She's still got skin. We got another 10 minutes.
Yes.
Is that this is the first movie I've seen with her? Is that like that's a thing that happens with her?
Oh
in these
yeah.
movies? Okay.
Not in the Heights though.
No, yes, not in the in the Heights.
Strangely enough.
She could sing, so that's why your monster works really well too. So
it's Matt and Tyler, like the same guys doing like the caster and Scream, and then the caster and the Scream sequel. Like it's
like
kind of interesting that it's not just that and she got fired from the new whatever, like their sequel, but they're not the ones directing it.
Yeah, Spyglass.
They got screwed over too, even before she
Yeah.
did. They wanted to replace them with Christopher Landon, the guy that did Happy Death Day. So I think now Kevin Williamson, who wrote the original Scream, is coming back, and I think it's going to go horribly.
Yes, it is.
Because we all know what happened with her because she was pro-Palestine. I'm like, most white people who are pro-Palestine still have their careers. I mean, look at Andrew Garfield. He was able to say, I'm more concerned what's going on in Gaza at a place that's known for having Zionists in the audience, and he got an applause. So I was like, okay. But
the guy who runs Spyglass, Gary Berber, is like a hardcore Zionist from like, I think he's from like a South African. He's South African, but I don't know his family had like apartheid connections or whatever. But
in South Africa, you're kidding me.
What?
So you guys are saying that the script is doomed without even a chance of like, it doesn't matter what's in the script, the politics around it will kill it?
Yeah. They think bringing back Nev Campbell would, I'm like, nothing's going to help this movie.
Well,
and Ortega quit too because they fired Melissa Barrera.
That's right, because
it was a solidarity thing.
Right.
Yeah. So like, and I feel like that's like two actors with a whole lot of clout that gone from the
Yeah,
sequel.
I mean, especially since Beetlejuice is technically still in theaters, Beetlejuice, and it's still crushing doing pretty well.
God damn it, you said it 3 times.
Hey,
I mean,
they seem to like refuse to believe that that's a successful movie somehow. It blows my mind.
Kristina,
$500
get up for a
million
second.
globally. What?
I want to solo lay out your sweater.
Oh, there we go.
Is that really a Beetlejuice sweater?
Yes, it's a sweater dress.
It's a Che Guevara.
Let the record show. ...
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
KT, I wanted to
No,
answer
it's
your
up
question.
rock the vote. But
Yeah, I would love if you could.
Well, you were saying like I think it'll do poorly because I already know people that want to boycott the next Scream movie when it comes out. But also, it's like I just feel like they're getting a stunt director to do it. I mean, the guy who's doing it is Kevin Williamson, who wrote the original ones. And it's like, well, he's only directed one movie before, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which I liked, but it's like he's not really an experienced director. And I think they're doing it as like a stunt thing almost. The original writer from Scream is going to direct this one. And it just doesn't. Yeah.
Sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I know you guys aren't heavy into like sequels the way I am, but I thought the last 2 Scream movies were really good.
Well, that's when they should have ended, though.
Yeah. No, and I don't think those movies would have worked without Barrera and Ortega. I think they reinvigorated the whole series. And I think the last Scream 6 in particular, I thought was really, I mean, I consider it one of the better sequels in the whole series.
Oh my God, imagine, like, even Jenna Ortega is becoming a bit of a Scream queen with doing, like, X and, of course, Wednesday and Beetlejuice doing, like, the new goth Scream queen or whatever. But I would love to see her do more, like, something more bloody. I mean, she did, her character, spoiler, gets killed off in X. But, it would be interesting to see.
I forgot she was in that. That's her. Yeah, that's right.
I know. A lot of people are like, that's inappropriate for her doing a sex scene. I'm like, you don't see anything, but whatever.
They're making a porno. What do you want?
She's only 20 years old.
When people
that's never happened in life.
Porn stars are not 20 years old. They're definitely 18. Anyway.
Porn stars are 50.
Yeah,
I only
it would be cool to see them work together. Maybe in another movie directed by like these two, because it seems like the guys are going to want to have Melissa Barrera in more projects in the future because they do like working with the same people. Like same with Samara Weaving for the Ready or Not sequel. I wonder if they're going to work with Dan Stevens and Kathryn Newton more, because I feel like this movie makes a good like tester for them to be like, okay, what other actors we could have in future projects? Because it seems like they're probably going to pick everyone for something in the future.
I'm trying to see.
I feel like they have like they're building up their like stock players that they have.
Exactly.
You see, my Radio Silence guys. The reason I mentioned the Scream stuff was just because I think they're very efficient directors. They know how to make like a good, fun genre movie, and they can do it on a budget like this. I mean, this had a decent budget. I think $28 million, but you know, I mean, compared to a lot of movies, that's lower. In Hollywood.
Oh God, yeah.
These days,
and they know how to make it feel big. Their movies feel bigger than the budgets they're on, so they're really, really good in my view.
It's like when they did Ready or Not. I'm like, that dress must have cost like what, $500,000? Like,
yeah. And I think Spyglass is going to see what they've lost when the new Scream movie comes out, because the Radio Silence guys they know what they're doing better than a lot of people do. So,
Yeah,
Like,
and it
I
doubled
think
it back.
some
It
of
made
is-
42 on the 24. Like it made a lot of money, twice as much
There
as
you
it
go,
cost.
made money.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of it is also like coming out of like the YouTube world, right? Like because you have to learn how to do stuff on a budget when you're doing that. When you're doing like a lot of their stuff is like found footage type like kind of skit kind of things like that they were working with. And I feel like you really have to learn how to do things on a budget when you're doing your own YouTube channel. Like you're not sponsored by like a big company or something like that. And I feel like you also have to learn how to make things feel bigger because YouTube is kind of like on its own arms race in a way. Like quality keeps getting better, like the whatever, like the
you have a whole
the
production
entire,
team now.
Yeah, so it's like you really have to learn how to do things that look really good on a budget. And I feel like this movie is a good example of something that like it might not be on like a like a tiny budget, but this movie looks a lot bigger than it is, and some of it is all the blood, I think.
Yeah, it's it really
goes. It's also longer than I think it really justifies being, unfortunately. Sorry to be a wet
2 hours.
blanket. Yeah. Every movie I understand now has to be at least 2 hours for some reason. But I mean, I hate to say it, the ballet stuff misses me. Like I'm like, I don't see why we have to have this. Like I get that like it's like the conceit, like it's on the poster, but like, all right, whatever. We have to watch 2 of these dances.
Ballet,
what are
more
we doing?
blood.
Exactly. This is valuable blood time. We're wasting here.
Especially when you find out that one of those is included just to be nice to the actress who's good at dancing. You're like, ah.
Right.
Well, I do like
leave that as an extra scene on the DVD or something. You know,
when Sammy gets turned, I like the fact that it's almost as if, again, the vampire rules are a little bit different in this one, and I'll talk about what's different. The idea of like when you get bitten and you have a little bit of like that vampire venom, whatever in you, you're able to puppeteer.
I got that venom in me.
Yeah, you're able to puppeteer the person and transform them into a vampire.
If you're a seasoned vampire. If
you're a very seasoned vampire. But another thing too is...
They sprinkle a little garlic on you.
Yeah. It's kind of... But another thing too is that when Dan Stevens' character, Frank, gets turned, he actually vomits a lot of blood after drinking some blood. I'm like, so that's a very graphic detail about like, oh, everyone's like, oh, you get bit and that's it. I'm like, no, there needs to be like a convulsing transformation, in my opinion. Nothing like bing bang boom or whatever, but like, and the fangs, the piranha teeth, I loved. So because I'm like, yes, they kind of look monstrous in a way, almost without doing too much makeup.
Right, and that's again. First place I saw that was from Dusk Till Dawn, but you know, 28 Days of Night. That's another example of like the monstrous, like bestial vampire kind of thing. But
more than just the things.
What's that? However many days, doesn't matter. It's night, there's vampires. Let it go, kid.
A fortnight and an extra day of. I actually wanted to return to something that JG said, but I also want to keep talking about the ballet. So I'm going to take a tangent for a hot second, but I do want to go back to the ballet because I think this is a really key part to this conversation. You had said that you weren't sure because you're not sure about stunt people as directors, and I'm almost like, oh, God,
I don't mean stunt people. I mean having like I meant having like the writer of the original Scream come back to direct it, the new one. Mm-hmm. That's what I meant. Okay. Like it just seemed like stunt casting the director in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh, stunt casting. Yeah, okay. Because I wasn't sure about was he a stunt guy? Okay. So go back to the ballet. I agree with everything that you're saying, Kristina, about the character design. It's just that that scene felt indulgent in a way that made me remember I was watching a movie, and it kind of took myself out of the scene. But I love the blood on her face. Yeah, like a little too long for the transformation. I'm like, okay, you spit out enough blood, but like you could kind of quicken up a little bit. I mean, there's enough for it to be a process, but also too, it did kind of go a little bit too long. But they just love showing a lot of blood in these movies, so I'm like,
well, they had so much of it.
I know they couldn't let it go to waste.
It's a fantastic blood fact, actually. Yeah.
I imagine they rented out the hall, right? They rented out like it's owned by the Irish state, I think now at this point, and they rented out the Glen Maroon Hall, like the one that was originally owned by the Guinness family. I'm just imagining like how there's got to be someone that works housekeeping there. So like they finished the shoot, and imagine just some guy with like a mop coming in and being like, "What did you do? What did you do to the fucking house? I gotta clean this," and he's like freaking out because they had to douse that place with blood.
That's a Martin McDonagh movie, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
You expect me to clean this shit up?
It's Colin Farrell showing up with Barry. Yeah, with the cleanup afterwards.
I ain't getting paid enough for this. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But like, Katie said you want to talk about the ballet. I feel like the ballet represents something that she needs to stay grounded, and it gives her something like that her father could never give to her since he's constantly busy. Katie, you're muted.
For feck's sake, you're muted.
For feck's sake, absolutely. And we start to talk about Swan Lake, which is ultimately a story about Odette, who is a woman who is cursed to live transformed as a swan her entire life. Like, that is kind of what Abigail has had happen to her. She has been cursed to live this life. And so having that roll back into the story, it feels more intentional when you stop to go, why did they pick this piece of music? What is being said? As opposed to, it's some dancing.
Yeah, it's like Claudia from, the Interview with the Vampire. Like, she's like, I want to be like this woman. I want to be a grown woman. I'm stuck as a child forever. Like, why did you make me like this type of situation?
Why'd you make me like
Why'd you make me like this, for feck's sake? Also, it gives a good excuse for when she does that cool jumping on the banister of the stairs and kind of like hauling ass up, which is a very cinematically cool scene.
It shows how graceful she is as a vampire too. Like how it's almost like it grounds her and keeps her like in control of like, she doesn't fuck up as much.
Yes. And it makes her seem virginal and sweet and coquettish. And that gives us something to juxtapose what she actually winds up being. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish that one dance scene was shorter.
There's there's a physicality to the concept of vampires too, and this movie kind of, it might overindulge in it in a way, right? Like the fight scenes between them, but I think there's also a physicality to ballet dancing that's kind of similar, and like
sure, look at Red Shoes or Black Swan, like any movie. I mean, I think that's
secretly strong, definitely what's in ballet.
Yeah. Definitely. I think it really goes to show that you can utilize ballet but in the proper way, even in like a horror movie. Because I do feel like it has like that, Black Swan element to it. Because again, like she's, trying to, because spoiler alert, she planned the whole thing. She planned the whole situation. All these people were involved in like her father's business somehow, screwing him over or whatever have you, somehow involved. And so she basically tries to enact revenge on people for like the last God knows how many years, trying to, kill all these people who, as if this is going to get her father's love, which it doesn't. A simple talking to does, but like, or maybe an understanding.
The more the more that this gets pointed out, the more I'm realizing this is really a very dusk till dawn situation. It starts out as a heist or a robbery movie, and then it becomes a let's kill all these vampires and live. We have to make it out of this single location movie. Yet I enjoyed this more than that, and I can't articulate why.
Because I know why. Your experience, first time seeing it, wasn't ruined by your brother.
I actually feel like
I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I think the difference for me between this and From Dusk Till Dawn is like there's sort of a sleazier element to From Dusk Till Dawn. I think there's a certain classiness.
Was it Cheech Marin announcing what pussy was available that first tipped you off to that, or what?
I mean, it's like exploitation movies.
Sleazy, he says.
Very classy feel to it.
Was it showing up as the literal titty twister? Is that
titty twister?
Yeah. There's a self-indulgent scene in this where they let the girl just dance. And then there's a self-indulgent scene in the other one where they let the girl just dance. So I don't know.
Hey, I am pro letting women dance. You can't shut them down. Just let the women dance. So we have. Can you compare with Ghost Heist movie The Vault? Is one of our questions. I haven't seen The Vault, so I don't know.
Ghost Heist movie The Vault. What is that? There's a movie called The Vault.
It's on the Netflix. It's a vault heist movie centered on a haunted bank.
Oh,
that sounds interesting.
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
I can't say I'm familiar.
I have not seen it, sadly.
And the fact that it ties in with Bela Lugosi and the original use of Swan Lake, which we did mention.
We did mention that. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool because it's for those who know vampire like lore, like film vampire film history, a lot of people probably go and be like, what the fuck is all this? Like, what does this have to do with a vampire movie and blah, 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 blah. Like, there's so many callbacks. Like, you can even call back to the vampire, Interview with the Vampire, with her being literally a child and not a young woman forever. Because the whole point of Dracula's daughter was that she was like a beautiful young woman. She wasn't a child. She wasn't Shirley Temple or whoever hell was a big Hollywood actor at that time.
Dracula, you are not the father.
Very interesting question. Do you think that people who don't have any basis for these references would enjoy the film as much or at all?
Just on its own merits?
I can answer that. I didn't get all these references, at least the first time I watched it, because I was really drunk when I watched it with friends. This is like a perfect movie to watch with a bunch of friends and some beers. Not lying. I like. It's just a fun movie. As much as I'm not against the whole trend of so-called elevated horror, even though I have issues with that term. But I like movies like this that are just sort of a fun ride.
Elevated horror. I talked about this with Jason when we did Exorcist movies on Saturday. I feel like elevated horror is a term that can only exclude people. And it's not something that people that enjoy those kinds of movies, such as myself, ever actually use. It's kind of like, oh, yeah. Because it just sounds like you're being elitist, right? Oh,
it's always a derogatory use of the term.
This movie is elevated enough for me.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
This movie takes place at sea level. I can't deal with it.
I've never heard somebody use it positively. I've always heard people use it in a kind of put down kind of divisive way.
Right.
But then it's interesting to bring that up, JG, because I was curious, pleasantly surprised to hear that you enjoy this one, because I know you don't enjoy a lot of the modern horror films, but you're definitely a big advocate and proponent of the genre, and especially, we'll call it the sleazier element, maybe. But I think that's cool because I think that's worth paying attention to, right? Anytime there's someone that's like, hey, I'm not a fan of this thing really, but this one's really good, I'm always going to pay attention to that. That's always interesting to me. And did you just randomly stumble upon it? How'd you even find out about this one? It's not really your beat, man.
Well, I'm a big fan of Barrera's work even before the whole, her coming out as pro-Palestinian, and I like the Radio Silence stuff with the Scream movies, so I just decided to check this out, and I think this is better than their Scream movies. So
I was like, oh, Dan Stevens and Melissa Barrera in a movie together with Kathryn Newton, sign me up.
To be honest, I just like vampire movies in general, and I feel like vampire movies have been on a downturn. There's been an attempt to revive them, but this, I think it made its money back, but not by much. And then Last Voyage of the Demeter did really, really bad in theaters. So,
which is just based off of a chapter of Dracula.
Yeah.
So, but
I like that one too, but this was head and shoulders above Last Voyage. I'm hoping Nosferatu does really well, the Eggers movie, because I feel like the vampire subgenre, I feel like it's been dormant.
The cast is pretty solid. I mean, you got Willem Dafoe and Bill Skarsgård, and everyone loves
vampires during the day. The vampire genre has been dormant.
Yeah, well, the whole Universal monster genre has been dormant, and this is probably the best attempt to revive any of that IP in a long time, in my opinion.
That's what's weird about it. It's the best one.
A Frankenstein movie too.
Part of that universe.
It wasn't a movie, but did you see the Midnight Mass, the Flanagan? I think.
Of course I did.
I
love Flanagan. He is another great director who has a set of people that he tends to use over and over again. Gets good ensemble out of. Yeah.
But that's probably the most recent vampire thing that I was like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. And before that, Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which I think is amazing, but that's 10 years ago.
That's the Iranian vampire movie, right?
Right. Yeah, where she skateboards and stuff. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Not too recent. Yeah. What about?
It's no John Carpenter's vampires, but
bones and all.
I do agree though. But I do agree though that I think this Nosferatu movie is going to do pretty well because a lot of people have been waiting to see what Bill Skarsgård looks like as Count Orlok. So and
they're kind of hiding it. They're kind of not making
which is, I guess, a good idea.
You know, I plan on seeing it on Christmas Day when it comes out.
Oh, me too.
Coming out Christmas Day. Holy
Eggers
crap.
is like the perfect guy to do Nosferatu too. Like when I heard that, I got so excited, especially because, again, in my estimation, I mentioned this on the show, I feel like I've enjoyed every one of his movies more than the one before it. And I think his best movie is The Northman, which people disagree with me on that, and they're wrong. And they're fine to have wrong opinions. But I feel like this could be like his best one yet.
Yeah.
And I'm super curious to see it. And that was not something I think I could say 10 years ago. Where I'd be like, ugh, Nosferatu, leave it alone.
You guys know, is he going with the Orlok as the name in?
Instead of doing the Herzog thing and just getting called Dracula.
Yeah,
I believe
Orlok,
so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
cool.
Because we've seen
that.
his shadow and he looks bald, so I'm like, oh, cool. Hopefully they stick to the original Count Orlok name.
Yeah.
This would have rocked with a Nicolas Cage as a Lugosi Dracula cameo at the end. Yes. AKA the best thing about Renfield, in my opinion, was
that was another one that bombed. All these vampire movies aren't doing well.
That had so much plot. Why was there so much plot in that Renfield movie? You needed a quarter of that much plot. It wasn't interesting.
That's another attempt by Universal, though, to revive this as IP. And it's funny that they're trying to revive this as IP. The one that does the best job of it, is the one that doesn't even mention the name Dracula.
There's a lesson in there somewhere.
And just a reminder, Dracula Dead and Loving It already did the whole Renfield origin story in the first 10 minutes, so we're good. Schedule?
It was a great idea, and Holt does a great job, but it's not a great movie. It's okay. But Nicolas Cage is for the 7 minutes he's on screen is fantastic in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because they do so many throughout the Universal Pictures Monster Universe or whatever. That's the first one to really do these crossover things where they're like, oh well, let's bring the Mummy into it, let's bring Frankenstein into it, let's bring
let's bring the Mummy into it.
I'm excited.
It really is the.
No, I know that's
and then they're asking about their wives and their kids. That seems like a stretch.
Let's bring in Abbott and Costello. What are they up to?
It's the Monster Cinematic Universe. It really is.
It is though.
That Monster Universe is what they're calling it, I think. But I think if the Frankenstein movie does well, I think maybe we could see Bride of Frankenstein, maybe more the actual crossover movies between some of these characters.
Roommate of Frankenstein.
Because they're also doing a Wolfman movie too.
Landlord of Frankenstein. I hated that one.
When I saw during the previews, I went to see Terrifier 3 recently. I know.
Oh, how fun was that?
I enjoyed it, but the thing was the trailer they showed before it was for the Wolfman, and people were laughing at it. They're like, this looks horrible.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, yeah, they did that Jack Nicholson movie Wolf, right? They tried it with that. That was a million years ago.
You want to know what they should do if they want to revive this genre? Is they should just go full on camp, there's this great 80s movie called The Monster Squad.
Monster Squad's amazing. Monster Squad,
stuff like that. If you want to do a monster universe,
can I just say, Monster Squad, way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Way ahead of its time.
Seriously. We brought it up because we were talking about the nice guys, and
we were talking about that's right, and also that may be the first comedically going over what do we know about these? What do we know about these guys? Well, It may be the first one. I haven't seen it in forever, so I couldn't say, but I think it might actually be.
I'm never just imagining.
Also, it's 90 minutes. That's perfect.
Right.
That's good.
That's an hour and 22 minutes. It's real short.
Conan, is that how long you last? 90 minutes?
They're gonna do Abigail meets the Wolfman.
Right.
Ooh.
Bring her into it.
They're gonna have to do some digital de-aging because she's grown quite a bit since Abigail came out. Once you're 12 years old, you get that spurt, man. It's whoa.
Yeah. Decided
Harvey
to do
Wolfman,
a sequel with a
attorney at law.
vampire.
It must fucking suck though to be a 12-year-old vampire, but you get turned right before the growth spurt.
Yes.
Right. You couldn't wait a couple months for me to get a little bit taller. I'm stuck in
you know what movie I kept thinking of while watching this, actually, because of what you're talking. Have you ever seen the Kathryn Bigelow movie Near Dark?
Of course.
Yeah. I kept thinking remember the little
we almost
kid
covered
that
it on this
wears
show.
The William S. Burroughs shirt? The little kid vampire? I kept thinking of him throughout this.
Yeah. Yeah, same year as Lost Boys.
I always think of the little vampire that Disney did. That was kind of a cute.
Little Vampire is a fun movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like it's the interview with the vampire thing, right? Like there's a vampire in a 12-year-old girl's body. Like like
ironically, those
she doesn't
books
have
came
daddy
out
stuff.
at the same time. The literature was about the same time. Even though the movies are much later.
But that's an interesting point. I think this movie, like what I was saying earlier with the Monster Squad, or even a movie like Little Vampire. I wish we got more like campy monster movies, and this has like a lot of camp elements in it.
Yeah.
We need more of that when it comes to these.
Yeah,
that's
got,
Universal should lead.
They got that humor because again, that's something that the guys like to do. Because I remember watching Ready or Not, the one daughter is like a fucked up like druggie. Like she always ends up shooting the wrong person. She's like, "Why is it always me?" And they're like, "Give you a Valium to calm me down. You had too much coke, sweetie. Just give her a Valium or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "This is something that the guys do with their humor in their horror movies, and that's something why another thing I gravitated towards. I'm like, I love Ready or Not. You know, I love all their other movies. I'm probably gonna love this one because it's probably the very similar type of aesthetic and like writing, dialogue, if you will, and lo and behold, I did, and it worked out. And also, too, the ending. So, a lot of people, again, spoiler alert, the Abigail and Joey end up working together to defeat Frank.
I like that twist. I like that.
Yeah.
Like I like that he ends up being the villain. Because at first you're like, oh, are they going to be friends?
Lovers, maybe.
He's warming up.
Fucking?
I didn't think that, but I don't know. I didn't get that vibe. But I was like, oh, they're going to work together to defeat Abigail, and then he turns and it's like, oh, this guy's number one, he's a scumbag. But number two, like, oh, they're gonna work together to defeat him, and Abigail isn't even really the villain. I mean, like she is, but she's not really. Like, kind of feel at the end, you kind of just feel bad for her. Like she had her blood drained out of it. Oh, we didn't plan it this way, but I like that. We kind of have gone through like each time there's like a different way of kind of turning one by one. Like I know, like we talked about how in the Lost Boys and in What We Do in the Shadows, and there's like that version of it that's like you have to you turn and then you have to drink the blood and then you become a vampire. There's like steps to it, and in this I like that they added the element where a vampire could drink another vampire's blood and then gain power. And it's like, holy shit, like that's good.
I think of like health meters and like fighting games. Like as the vampire drinks it, like the health meter like extends. Right?
That's like Ravenous. That's our going back to the
true.
like
That's true.
a little Wendigo-y.
Yeah.
There's also the pretty funny line in this that they don't really dwell on at all, but like she drinks the Elon Musk guy, like Kevin Durant's blood, and she's like, oh, you need to stop drinking so much.
Yeah.
It's good. That's good. That's a good line. Well, and also if you get bit by a vampire, it's like zombie rules too, which From Dusk Till Dawn just did because like they were just like, look, let's just get right to it. Like let's just, like we don't have the money to prolong this. Let's get right down to it. But I like that they did that, but they managed to do something a little different with it, and also nobody turned into a rat too, so that was good.
Yeah.
Well, it's like white zombie rules, kind of like it's like you like. There's one version of it where you can like control the person as if you're like the ancient voodoo priestess or whatever, and that's one version.
So it's like a remixing of the rules. It's not an overturning, but it's like a remixing of the rules almost, right?
I think that. And
there were a lot.
I like that. I like that version of it, and then I like that they don't dwell too much on the rule. Like it's just like, oh well, at some point you discover you have a bunch of powers, and it's like
nothing, like all this stuff that they think works. Like, like Dan Stevens' character, like, oh, let's go get her. And, like, they just get their asses handed to them. Like, just absolutely, like, murked. And like, because none of the stuff that they have, like, actually does anything. Sunlight does
just like
right?
a little bit of the, like, knockout, whatever they could, like a Demerol or whatever the hell they gave it. They put it
narcotics work, but okay.
Yes.
Like,
apparently that's a new vampire rule.
Nobody should have tried that on Bela Lugosi. Give him some heroin.
It's
too soon. Too soon?
He's like, I never drink, just morphine. And he's like, all right. I like that works. At least if you give them like a powerful enough sedative, you just kind of knock them out. But it only lasts like 20 minutes, and then they're back up again.
It doesn't last as long.
Well, it implies that she is still somewhat corporeal as opposed to completely like a phantasm or undead. Like they still need to breathe. So if you put ether over their face, they'll succumb to that to a certain extent. Yeah. It's an interesting way to maybe it's more of a vampire where she's like half human because of her transited state. But yeah, it's still held together for me for a second. I didn't question
yeah,
it.
because like vampires cannot conceive kids, like
Mhm.
female vampires can't carry to term, like for some. So maybe her mother was a human or something like that. Like that's the one thing I was like, how would he's Dracula? He's always been a vampire. He's been around forever. She's probably been around since like the 1800s. I was like doing like the math in my head. I'm like, okay, so she had a mother. He got her pregnant. Like,
I just watched a horrible movie where they approach that problem where they're like, okay, we need to figure out how to cast Lady Vampire. No, it was a Van Helsing movie where they realized they can use the tech from Frankenstein to keep the babies alive. It's not worth it. The fact that I'm saying the tech from Frankenstein should tell you all you need.
Yeah, I know exactly what's happening in that film now. Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Frankenstein becomes a venture capitalist, and he's like, "Let's try to invest. This is my startup, my new vampire startup."
Oh my god!
Let's get that crypto.
Another movie I thought of while watching this, actually, or rewatching it recently, was I'm not a fan of it, and I know a lot of people were when it came out, but this is like what I wish Cabin in the Woods would have been like. Because I didn't like Cabin in the Woods that much. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I also feel like that movie, I feel like Joss Whedon was kind of like looking down on the genre, like, oh, there's nothing new under the sun, and like the genre is kind of dead.
That's like Buffy. That's good enough.
There wasn't, and it was. That's my my counterpoint.
Well, but this movie, it has like a sort of playful, like meta tone to it, and it kind of makes fun of some of the tropes, but it also like embraces them at the same time. You know, like it doesn't disrespect the genre, and that's what I like about this one.
The first thing I kind of compared it to was Cabin in the Woods too. When I was texting Conan, I was like, "There's something, there's something like comedic and like meta self-aware kind of about it that reminded me of something like Cabin in the Woods."
I think it's really worth noting that you're right, JG, about the way that Cabin in the Woods feels because of the way that Cabin in the Woods was written, which is that Whedon wrote it with the other writer after having both finished films that completely flopped and did not come out the way that they wanted to. And they were really upset about their standing. And they were like, you know what, we're just going to make a movie that feels like it throws and bucks every trend of everything we've been forced to write up until now. And they actually, like, the script almost didn't even get made because the company went under, and it was Lionsgate who picked it out of their trash to be like, I'll let this movie come out. But yeah, you're right. There is a feeling of that because that's kind of the impetus of its writing.
I didn't realize that. That makes it more interesting in hindsight. Yeah,
they're probably waiting for that Michael Jackson biopic to draw because Lionsgate has had 7 bombs this year alone.
Oh, Lionsgate is just purposefully imploding.
Yeah, they're not doing themselves any favors.
They're getting in on the AI stuff now. Blum and Lionsgate are both.
They can go die.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I thought Cabin in the Woods was brilliant, and the first movie that wasn't called Scream to do meta-contextual and not be obnoxious.
Right.
So, and that's one of the reasons why when we did Murder Night Extravaganza, I think we ended with that one, if I remember correctly, which we did the history of the slasher movie starting with Psycho and with Cabin in the Woods.
Can I throw just one more fun fact from Cabin in the Woods at you? The guy who plays the stoner was so fucking ripped that they had to put him in baggy clothing, and he wasn't allowed to jump into the lake because it would have been confusing as to why he was so ripped. So they had to hide that actor and make him look fat. I love that.
I have the same problem, by the way. Thank you.
Oh yeah, we all have her fat.
That's amazing.
Sorry.
I love
thank
that.
Thank you for indulging.
Good for that guy. That's awesome. But I think that also in 2024, there's 2 ways you can do it. Like, first of all, you can get away from any kind of prestige element as well, and like, we're just gonna make a vampire movie. And the other thing is you can be like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Hey, we're doing the thing, everybody. Check it out. We're doing the thing, and now it's happening. And that's obnoxious in a different way. So it's interesting. This like walks that balance beam. Like I think it does it well. I think it does it well where it's like it's enjoyable. There's obviously some very funny lines. We've called out a lot of them, but it's also I think there is a love for the genre, and like. I haven't quite seen this before. There's elements that I've seen before. You know, I've seen like the young vampire before. We've referenced it more than I expected. Like I've seen the genre switch up before because it really, I mean, I think that could have been, if this came out in like, you know, the 90s or whatever, that would have been like a real like head fake for people. But there is a love, not just for vampire movies, but for things like Dead Alive and like Evil Dead and stuff like, where it's just like, they're like, hey, let's do that. Let's like, this doesn't have to be scientifically sound that the human body cannot hold that much blood. It looks cool.
Yes.
It looks cool. And that's all we need. We just need it to look cool. Right? And that's I got a lot of time for that, man. That's you know,
make blood look cool again. That's what the guys are doing in these movies. Thank God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, but again, it's such a fine line because I think there's too much like nudge, wink, wink these days, and it's just not clever. And just because you're referencing something good doesn't make it good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
Or try to connect it to something that actually has no connection at all to it. Like they're trying to do like a tribute or homage and it just falls flat. But that's what I love about this movie is that it like things in the end come full circle for why they're using all these references to the Rat Pack or using, you know, like Swan Lake and all that. And of course the amounts of blood is pretty cool too, not gonna lie. But that's like kind of like their
that's their signature. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Well, and it feels like it's cool. It works. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Kate. Sorry.
I was gonna say, it feels like there's a lot of reasons to come to the table. Like you can pick any one of these flavors as being something that you're hyped to see, and then you see the other things that are included on the table, and you're like, oh yeah, I do like when it's metacontextual. I just came for Dan Stevens covered in blood, but hey. And so you don't need to get everything, but you can come and enjoy it. It's going to pull a lot of demographics. It was smart of them to do that. It is incredibly hard to do that.
Yeah, make it like the heist movie with a whole like a diverse cast. Like if you're someone who's been watching Kathryn Newton films, you're gonna love this. If you're someone who wants to support Melissa Barrera for getting fired by Zionists, there's something for you. If you love Dan Stevens, there's something for you. If you're a big fan of the filmmakers, there's definitely something for you. If you love a lot of blood, like it's a little bit of like wide tent. Cast the net wide.
If you like seeing little girls kick people's asses, like in the movie Kick Ass, there's an action element to it.
Yeah. I was gonna say if you like Guinness, it's literally in the Guinness house.
Yes,
that's true.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
You know what surprised me was they really leaned into like the gory elements in this. I haven't seen many horror movies like in theaters that have done that as much lately, and I mean it.
Just that Evil Dead remake that,
or even Terrifier.
Yeah. I did not know it was going to get that gory. And so for me, that was the kind of reveal. They didn't have the reveal of the vampire, but the reveal on the back end being that campy and that bloody. And by the time, like when Dan Stevens gets his last full face full and you see how covered he is. And as an actor who has done, I did Purge election year, I got covered in blood so much in that. Like it is so sensory uncomfortable. It's so cold. It's so wet. It's so sticky. And he's still smiling.
Yeah,
he's forever to get off. It stinks, and he's still in it because he's having that much fun. And there's like this realization of like, oh, I'm in it because he's still in it. I love that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. He seems like he's always having fun every time I've seen him in anything. Really, like I don't think I've seen that many movies, but I've seen like I saw like
fun doing Beauty and the Beast. Like that's crazy,
dude. He voices one of the aliens on Solar Opposites because they had to fire the guy, and he's so every time it's like I can't believe Dan Stevens just said that line.
Yeah,
I was actually watching that right before we went on air. Because I was like, oh, there's a whole season of this I haven't seen. Hilarious. It's
so
amazing.
Good.
And I like that, not only were you not going to get a guy that sounds like the Sex Pest, we're going to get someone that sounds completely different and explain away in a 3-second thing in the intro. Amazing.
Yes.
That's the way to do it.
This is how I sound now.
He even posted it in his Instagram story about it. He's like, here's how we're doing this.
Yeah, that's great. No, and I legitimately love it's an absurdist show anyway. What you're now you're upset?
My man Dan is the man of many talents.
The tiny movie that they have inside that, the one about the little people, should be given awards.
Oh God,
so fantastic. With like Jessica Chastain and Alfred Molino and Sterling K. Brown and like everyone.
Christina Hendricks and I mean it really is like, and it's just like a little offshoot thing that like it's pretty much his own story now.
Yeah, Dan Stevens is really good at doing voice over work or like voice animation work. He did it was something on Netflix. It was like an anime of some sort, and he played like a villain, but he was a more like misunderstood bamboo of some sort. It was really good because he became like a very sentimental type of character towards the end. It ran for like 3 seasons during COVID. Like they were pushing out seasons like that because that's a lot of what a lot of actors could have done during the COVID was like voice over work. So that's why like Dan Stevens was doing all these like animated movies and TV shows because he was like, well, Something
Yeah,
for me to do.
that you can do from your remote studio. Yeah, I don't think this movie works without him. I hate to say it. Like I don't think it works at all.
You need him. Yes.
By the way, they did this. They started filming this right before COVID, I think, or like right around the time that a lot of stuff was shut down, and they had to take a break. They had to take a break because of COVID, and then the writers' strike happened too. So they had there's like a huge gap between when they actually started this movie and when they finished it.
Yeah, you can't tell at all that there was like he kept the same like whatever scruffy facial hair he had, like
well, he was only doing voice acting work, so
yeah. Well, also too, he Kathryn Newton was wearing like a wig and hair extensions for her character, so I guess they probably did was take pictures of everyone to make sure that we know what they look like and we got to keep them looking like this because we can't have someone's beard grow too far.
They like their tattoos are obviously not real tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you end up on the IMDb goofs section, and nobody wants to be in that section.
No,
I've been called back to set like 2 months later, and they do keep you for a while. They're like, don't change your hair. We need you to be, and they take pictures. They take pictures of you that they send back to you, so that when you're the day before, you know what you're supposed to do.
Don't change a thing.
Well, for a while, you're kind of. I really also think a lot of this is Dan Stevens being able to say lines with a Queen's accent.
Yes.
Which, being from Bayside, being from Flushing, Queens, I have to. What is superbly done. It's not heavy-handed, which most of the time when people are doing an accent from Queens, they just sound like Fran Drescher, or they just lay it on thick. Like,
oh, really?
The way that, not that I don't always sometimes sound like that. The way that he says, no, those are fucking onions, only works in the cadence of Queens, and it is.
Yes.
It sounds like Pat Walsh.
not just saying lines. The fact that he's able to improvise with a Queen's accent is kind of incredible.
Yes.
Like
you forget he's British.
So.
You forget he's British, and I'm like
improvising.
Well, he does. They do like Queens in.
That's true. Yeah. They do like them.
It almost reminds me of Kristen's accent for Sophia Gigante, not Falcone, Gigante, in the Batman, because you could hear that accent, but she's not doing it too hard. Like she's like she's still using like ers and ahs, but not being too tall with the accent, which is because accents evolve over time too, and that's why Dan Stevens sounds like a casual dude from Queens. Like it's not overly done, as KT pointed out, and so we're getting to a point where movies are taking place in the modern time. The accents are slowly evolving. Finally, we're getting dialect and accent coaches who tell them, "Do not sound like Marissa Tomei and My Cousin Vinny." Okay, we've moved beyond that accent now.
Do not sound like whatever Gambit's doing.
Well, all of our accents have kind of been folded into it. Like the accents are kind of disappearing from the American dialect. Like each generation subsequently gets more and more like we kind of get a flat American accent. Yeah, we're all kind of like.
But in a movie
doing an American accent
that is this big and this campy, it could have been easy to just go big and campy with the accents, though. And no one does. And I think that's a subtle choice that makes it instead of breaks it.
Yeah. It was they did a pretty good job. And I like the fact that Cameron Durant kept his original accent. They're like, yeah, we'll add some, you're muscle man, but you're also kind of a big softy. Who would have thought,
I think
the only thing I'd really seen him in was as the Blob in, I think it was a Deadpool movie, right? Or like one of the X-Men movies or something.
Yes, he was.
Which is just like, I was like, oh no, that guy's actually huge. Okay.
He's the guy that's muscle in the Strain, like another
I've never seen that.
That's why
does he have the accent in that?
He has his regular accent in that.
Okay.
Maybe he's not good at accents, and they're just like, nah, just stick with your regular accent.
Character's French Canadian now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I think he's like Eastern European in the Strain, but like I don't think he was really doing that much. Like I watched it when it came out, like on TV, so I can't remember whatever. Like I always thought he was like Eastern European or something. I don't know. I wasn't really listening that hard.
He had like an indeterminate foreign accent. Kind of thing going on, probably.
You're an indeterminate foreigner and go
ethnically ambiguous.
Ethnically ambiguous, yes.
So you want to do the old letterbox?
I was going to say, wow.
Sounds like
that's something I don't hear often in this show. Silence. Yeah.
Silent.
Radio silence, as it may be. Yeah, sure. Of course, Letterboxd. Letterboxd. It is a social media site for film lovers who talk at, with, and to each other about the movies they love, maybe the movies they didn't love, maybe the movies where they're exclusively focusing on which principal character was drenched in the most blood and what effect that they had on them. Enough said. Really, enough said, people. Really. Enough said. And of course, weekly, all of these are collected together, and put on on this show as a bit for everyone on the screen to respond to. And of course, it's not just Siskel's and Eberts of the world. Everyone gets to have their say. So that's what this is. These are the Letterboxd one-liners for Abigail. Let's roll them. I would simply not kidnap a vampire.
You think?
She kind of, in a way,
wasn't
she the one kidnapping them? Kind of, in a way.
Yeah, technically. This person did not watch the movie. Clearly, just kidding.
Line them up. Wow.
I would have made that choice too, though, and not kidnapped a vampire.
7 foot muscular Elon Musk has great comedic delivery.
Yeah, unlike the real fucking guy.
I know, right? He thinks he's a comedian. Also, he's willing to give away his sperm on his weird cult community that he wants to build in Texas now. I'm like, no thank you.
He and Vincent Gallo should start a startup.
Sperm Bros. I'm so sorry I said that. Sammy, those are fucking onions.
Wait. KT, can you say that?
Oh, God, we don't have to do that.
Sammy, those are fucking onions.
There we go.
All right. I'll just never pick things that have an accent because I don't like doing it. This is another reason for why kids are scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
don't have
I like the variant poster on this.
Yeah, that's good.
That is good.
I like the idea that someone's like, oh, I want to have a kid. And you're like, wait, you got to watch this movie first. Abigail.
With mom, apparently. That's a tag on this review. With mom. Wow.
Okay, but like...
Forrest, is this you?
Mom turns to them and says, "You're right. I do regret having you."
Yeah.
So many women have trauma from the alien chestburster scene when they're pregnant that I do feel like we do carry these weird little horror movies with us when we choose not to have children.
Amen.
True.
5 Nights at Abigail's. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who cares about character growth when you have some of the protagonists blow up like grenade-triggered pinatas?
Yeah, when they hit a wall and you're like, there's not anything more we could do with the character. They're kind of getting annoying at this point. You just blow them up.
It's so true.
Explode them.
So true.
Not since The Red Shoes has a ballet movie been so, red.
Hey.
The Red Shoes. The Red Shoes.
The Red Shoes.
Abigail, The Red Shoes sequel.
Yeah, it's good. This is. Sometimes I pick ones just for me. That's that one.
She's like, these shoes were white when I bought them.
What happened?
I will say, it is legitimately freaky when she's dancing with the headless body. I do appreciate that.
It's like, girl, why are you doing that?
And then they look at her and she's surprised that they're all in the room, and it's like, you really got that into that ballet, huh?
Yeah.
Kevin Durant looks like if Elon Musk took Bane's venom serum. It's haunting.
Oh, wow.
No, besides the blood, everyone's making jokes about Kevin Durant look like Elon Musk. I get it. I saw those too.
But I think the addition of the Bane's venom serum is pretty good because it's like 3 things.
Burn.
Our new sponsor, Bane's Venom Serum.
Bane's venom serum. Calling it right now, Abigail versus M3gan will be this generation's Alien v Predator.
Yes, they said I grabbed this while you're doing it. They said directors have no complaints if a horror crossover happens eventually.
Please
So that is a real thing that they've been pushing for. Online people, not like.
Oh, the M3gan.
Me when I'm on my period and bored.
Same. Same.
Oh no.
I lose like 7,000 gallons of blood a month, y'all. They say, a few tablespoons. Nah, man, I'm losing more than that.
More fantastic blood facts.
More fantastic blood facts for y'all upside your head. Boo, boo, boo. Those are the Letterboxd one-liners for Abigail. Please follow the show at Movie Night Extra at our Letterboxd HQ account, where we're logging all stories of all the great movies that we cover, lots of additional bonus content, all great stuff from there. Good time. Tag your review, Movie Night Extravaganza, and we will like it. And maybe it'll end up on Letterboxd one-liners. Probably not, because that happens at when we do the episode. So that would be kind of a weird thing. But who knows? Who knows what can happen? Everything it's a mystery. The professional ballet hater way over there, Forrest, your host, at Always Flacco. He's logging everything on Letterboxd as well that we cover in this show. So much more. You can find out which ballet movies he does or doesn't like. I am More Blood at Conan Neutron. Doing the highbrow, the midbrow, the populist fare, all that. Criterion Challenge, 2 to go. 2 to go. So I'm definitely gonna finish it this year.
I like the idea that you're the director for the movie and you're like, cut, more blood. Needs more blood.
Like Verhoeven when he kept yelling for more blood in RoboCop. More blood. Which if you watch the great RoboDoc documentary about the making of RoboCop, you can find that story yourself.
I told them they need to put more blood.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Great documentary. So follow me at Conan Neutron. Fucking onions. I'm Kristina down there. She's on Letterboxd. You've been very active this month. That's the most active month I think you've been in a very long time. So.
October's my month. Also, happy birthday, Winona Ryder. This is definitely her month too.
It's that time of the month.
Yes.
I was going to say after the period joke. I wasn't going to say it, but that's fine. Here we are. KT Baldassaro at Movie Runtime. She's logging all the stuff on that show and so much more. So follow her on the Letterboxd as well. As far as I know, JG Michael, you do not have a Letterboxd account. This is not peer pressure. But if you do, sorry, I didn't mention it.
I'm going to have to. You know what? I'm going to get on that for November.
I bet you would have a popular one. And I don't say that very often because it's very hard to be popular on Letterboxd. But anyway, let's hit it with the plugs.
This guy covers more sequels than anyone I've ever seen.
This guy's really into sequels of trash B-tier movies.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And then hit the bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. And we'd humbly request that you watch the video to the end because it helps us with the algorithm and helps more film fans to discover the show. We're also monetized. If you want to get your chat questions definitely read on stream, you can always send us a super chat, which will help us keep the show going. Every cent helps. If you're watching on Twitch, you can gift us a free sub on Amazon Prime with your Prime membership, but getting subs on Twitch is always appreciated. And it helps to follow us on there as well. We also have an audio feed, which is available wherever you download podcasts, if you prefer to listen to podcasts rather than watch the stream. That's updated usually the same day we stream, but watching on YouTube and Twitch is the best way to get the show first, live as it happens. If you want to support us with a monthly donation and get access to all of our after parties forever, which go patron only after we do them, you can become a patron at patreon.com/movie night extra. Link is in the description for that. It really helps us keep the show going since we do have some expenses to make this happen. We also have a Discord community. Link is in the description for that. We sometimes watch movies we cover on there. We get into conversations about everything from film to TV shows to related podcasts. We even have a Discord channel for memes. It's really fun on there. You can find us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads. You connect with us on all of those. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, we recently made a TikTok at Movie Night Extra where we're putting up short form clips from the episodes. Okay, passing this to Conan so he can tell you about his music and this week's Protonic Reversal. Conan, who's on Protonic this week?
That's right. Free feed. Carl Shane of Cal Marx. That episode just got released to the free feed. We have there's 4 episodes in Patreon right now. Steve Moriarty of The Gits, who also wrote the book, the literal book on Mia Zapata as bandmate from The Gits, was the most recent one in the patron queue. $1 a month, advance access for all that stuff. I've got Ash and Jake from Sugar Horse is also in the patron queue. That's the next one coming up. I think that's going to be tomorrow. And then Ed and Rosa from Kino Motel is in there as well. So there's 4 back. I'm taking this week off because I'm burnt out. So, but back with some more cool stuff coming up this November. I've been hitting it pretty hard on the old Protonic train. Also, Conan Neutron Secret Friends. Gonna be Columbus and Louisville with God Bullies, Cafe Bourbon Street, and Planet of the Tapes. Louisville. And then Dead Bob and Lung Turf Club in St. Paul and Cobra Lounge in Chicago. Those are going to be great. There's also the last shows of the year. So if you live in any of those places, please come out. We'd love to see you. NeutronFriends.bandcamp.com. Stuff for sale. We still have those newer, the blue Death is Coming, Eat Trash, Be Free raccoon shirts that are available. And there's going to be, it's going to be another merch item available the next couple weeks.
And I'll put the, just remind me in case I forget, but I can put the tickets in the next few episodes.
Oh, word! That would be a good idea. Yeah, that never occurred to me. Just like it never occurs to me to put like the tour poster in the thing so we can put it on.
It always occurs to me as someone's talking about how they have something in their ticket.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we got the know-how, we have the technology. Who knows?
We should put it on the Patreon too at some point. Probably like the link for your ticket.
Oh sure, yeah. That sounds good. I'm in favor of this. Kristina, what do you got?
Well, it's a week before the election. I
had noticed.
No stream tomorrow because I still got to process the news that hit me today. But tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, but Thursday is going to be an all-day Halloween stream. My chat helped me curate a over 9 hour playlist of Halloween songs.
It's just a monster mash over and over and over again.
Nope. We got Thriller. We got Backstreet Boys. We got
Return to Monster Mash. Should I write a sequel to the Monster Mash? Should I do that? I could do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
Well, you do have a week off.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the fact that
that's all you need.
And not like some of these playlists are like 5 hours long. I'm like, nah, bitch, we need one that plays for like over 9 hours. My Christmas playlist is like days long. But then also probably Friday.
You're German. You're German, and our Christmas lasts like what, like a week and a half or something.
Yes, technically, yes. We do celebrate the 12 days of Christmas. And then no stream Friday because I gotta clean this place. I feel like I'm Asmund Gold still.
You need to clean out your ears after listening to that Halloween music, am I right?
Yeah, I like Halloween. Hey, Halloween or Christmas music, you be the judge of that. Then Saturday.
I think it's fine. I just think it's just doing a Borscht Belt humor thing. It's fine.
Saturday is Shadow Saturday. We're gonna watch more Dark Shadows. Barnabas is almost about to get exposed for being a vampire. Apparently, let's go. It's getting really good.
I hate when I get canceled for being a vampire.
And then Sunday is Sunday Fun Day. Probably I might stream Monday. I don't know yet. I might want to start. I just want to decorate because I bought a bunch of new stuff for my background and stuff like that. So I got
a question from the chat. Any ministry on that playlist?
Maybe.
You got to tune in to find out, right? Yeah, that's how it's done. Yeah, get some.
Tuesday is going to be is election day, and myself, and Dan from the web are going to be starting to stream at stupid o'clock in the morning. We're going to go all day and hang out with the Leftist Mafia. That's right, my third appearance on Leftist Mafia. Whoop whoop.
And that Halloween playlist will still be playing while you do that because that's how long it is.
Which reminds me, next week we're doing a Monday show, not a Tuesday show.
Yeah, so that's good. Yay! So that's all I got planned. I mean, I'm excited for the election. I'm going to be drinking, so.
That's right. Yeah. Because we normally go on Tuesdays, and there's something happening. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
I definitely forgot about it, even though I get 8 to 9 pieces of like glossy mailers every day. Every day.
50 texts a day.
Wait, there's an election? This is an election year?
Every year is an election year. But yeah, go vote, please. People.
Move to a swing state, I said. Okay.
It'll be great, you said.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
I get all the campaign texts, and this one says, "Hey Forrest, this isn't to ask you about money. We truly need more volunteers." And it's like, oh, good. I'm glad he didn't ask you about money because I don't have.
Please chip in $5 though, right?
But if you got it on you. Yeah.
I always think about the Michael Brooks and Felix bit where he's talking about the fundraising emails, and they're like, "I'm gonna kill myself if you don't send me money. I'm Barack Obama."
I have a razor blade to my throat right now, and if you don't send $25, yeah, exactly.
Nation of Islam Obama, let's go.
My opponent has me hanging over a vat of boiling oil, and only your $5 donation can save me.
Look, Hitler's pointing a gun at me right now, and
rabid weasels are eating me alive right now.
This is Nancy Pelosi, by the way.
KT, what do you got?
Oh God.
We could literally do this all night. So it's like,
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to stop you. I've got the next episode of What If I Don't Like It coming out. Tip in $5. No, I'll join the volunteer. Next episode of my podcast is coming out. I and my sister finally watched From Dusk Till Dawn, and we'll discuss our experience, so that you can check that out. It's going to come out on the 1st, so very soon. I am also going to be going on the Goodwill podcast on Sunday to talk about Tom Hanks movies, which I'm really excited. I haven't been on with those guys yet, but I do love listening to their show, so it will be exciting to get to chat with them a little bit as well. Yeah, and that's just a little bit of what's going on with me, but I'm also trying to do a little letterbox challenge with myself, which is that I realize there are about 50 movies that I have logged as having watched and liked, but never given a numeric number to, or actually given an actual full review to. And I'm going back and I'm going to review all of them. So you'll see that I'm doing like a lot of reviews per day, like sometimes up to 6.
That's a labor of love.
So you just said you liked, yeah, because you could do that, but damn, I think every movie that I've like logged or whatever is always a movie that I review.
Yeah, I want to put a text review, and not just like one paragraph, like a decent review.
No, there's
under 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I when I first joined Letterboxd, I didn't do that. So like if you look at my numbers, they're all cattywampus because of that. But it's also like, and it's funny because some of those are like movies I love, and I'm like, I don't know, what am I gonna say now? Like, I don't know. It's great. What do you mean?
And meanwhile, I'm over here reviewing the movie Fresh, starring Sebastian Stan, with a Letterboxd one-liner that says, "I want Sebastian Stan to eat me." So you definitely got to take me seriously.
I feel like that would be Letterboxd popular.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to like flex my skill as a film critic and show you that I can do a full film review. I do a lot of TikTok reviews that are very quick. They want to be 60 seconds. I do also want to show you guys that I can talk substantively about it in writing form. And so, like you said, there's a lot of those that I really like that I'm just like, it's good. Well, Katie, put pen to paper. Why is it good? Why would you tell someone to watch this? And again, I'm trying to take under 10 minutes of my time to write them. So they're substantive, but not like too long.
Yeah,
I will say it's good. Was practically my review of Fall Guy. I was like, that's good. What do you want?
I like
good time.
I like how many things you reviewed by saying it does the thing.
It does the thing.
It does the thing.
What thing do you think it does? That's what it does. It's great. Yeah.
Well, I figure if you're working for somebody who does film reviews constantly, you have to say something about the film for a couple of paragraphs, even if it was shit. So let's do it.
Remember who you're talking to. I'm the king of what is not the bit. My reviews do not look like the bit that I do for this show. Let's put it that way.
Meanwhile, mine do.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I guess struggle between. Sometimes I'm like, I could do something pithy, and then I do, and I'm like, I think I just wasted like a review here. So then I usually go back and do a second one where I'm like, it's like paragraphs long. But sometimes there isn't that much to say. But like, I guess that's the time that you really do have to put in the work, because it's like, even if there's nothing to say, you have to get good at like using filler words. Like it was very stylistic. Like I liked the aesthetic. I liked the vibe. I liked
the vibes. Yeah, that's good.
I like
maybe it was Lynchian. Lynchian is used a lot, which is like, really? Have you seen a David Lynch movie? Because this is not Lynchian.
I liked the chair that I was sitting in at the movie theater. The chair was nice. I'd like to give a shout out to the movie theater manager.
That's some slim 70mm stuff. He like talk about the popcorn he got. And it's like, okay, so you didn't like this movie. Okay. Fair enough.
I've definitely reviewed it twice to do one joke review that's a letter liner, and then one that's my actual review. So yeah, feel free to do that. I do that all the time.
I mean, it's just like, because I'm just like, all right, well, I kind of do a movie podcast, so I feel like if I'm just doing joke reviews, like I'm kind of just wasting my.
The whole point is we go in depth, right? So there you go.
Yeah.
I thought the stunt casting was very, very good. You know, both they threw the guy out there and said, "Oh, this is the guy that wrote it," and also casting the stunt people in the movie. You know, both of those things.
There you go, like the Fall Guy, which I saw and was okay. Was pretty good. JG, speaking of stunt casting, what do you got? Oh, I'm sorry, KT, did you have more?
No, I wanted to try and throw to the next person. Yeah.
Okay, JG, hit it with the plugs, would you? And turn yourself off mute while you're at it. Thank you.
Wow, that was embarrassing. Anyways,
I do that all the time.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, for Parallax Views, I just wrapped up the series of episodes I do for the Halloween season. I had Chris McGibbon on to talk about Night of the Demons. He's like a certified super fan of that 80s cult classic. And then I also had Chuck Perillo, who's a really interesting guy that has done a lot of movies about true crime and serial killers, and he was the publicist for Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. And,
wow.
It was like a very serious conversation about like the ethics of making these movies, how he doesn't want to make these movies in the exploitative way that a lot of directors do. He's a really interesting guy, Chuck Perillo. And then the last one that I just released today was an interview with Stephen Bissett, who, if you're into comic books, Stephen was the guy that helped revive Swamp Thing with Alan Moore.
Oh, of course, yeah.
He was the penciler for the saga of the Swamp Thing. And we went 2.5 hours talking not only about his own comics, but he's a comic book historian as well. So we talked about the history of the comics code, censorship of horror comics. That's like the big finale to my Halloween shows. And then in addition to that, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/parallaxviews. And me and C. Derek Varn, who I know was listening to this episode, did like a 4-hour show on comic books. So
nice.
We go long.
Cool.
Yeah, some love for Varn in the comments. And it has been a long time since was it Stalker? Was the last time he was on? I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, probably. When I had COVID.
That's right. Yeah, we like Varn.
Yeah.
We don't like COVID, but we like Varn. Thank you. And thank you, JG. That sounds interesting.
JG, do you have any final thoughts? Final thoughts. Let's hear them.
I think Abigail is just a really fun ride. If you have friends that haven't seen it and they don't know about it, they need to go in blind for it, because I think that's the best way to watch the movie. But
poke your friends in the eyes before they go see it.
Brutal. Wow. Maybe they'll explode like a pressurized sack of blood.
When somebody touches them lightly with a stake.
Exactly.
Oh.
Explosion.
Katie, do you have any final thoughts?
I really had a thought that this movie would be so stupid and I wouldn't like it and I wasn't going to bother watching it. And I will admit, the only reason I watched it was because I had surgery. I could not walk. I was a literal captured audience. And I was like, fuck it, sure. I like Dan Stevens. And it had such a low bar and it exceeded that so much. It is very, very fun. And you can engage on it on a higher level like we did here, or you can just walk in and enjoy it. I would encourage a lot of people to watch this. That being said, it's impossible to not want to say there are some pacing issues, especially in the first 40 minutes. But it has such a fun payoff that it feels like you can excuse that, and it's worth your time.
I feel like 80% of the movies that go to 2 hours have pacing issues. It's like
preach.
It's almost
you know what? I'm going to be honest. It went by fast for me. I like the build-up. So.
Yeah, you were tanked though. So
I have one more thought.
Kind of the same to me though, and I was sober.
I have to say this since it wasn't in my final thoughts, but I need to say it now. Solidarity to Melissa Barrera, my queen, because she's put herself out there with the pro-Palestine stuff. So solidarity with her.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's fantastic in Your Monster. If you don't know about it, also go into that blind. That's out in theaters right now. I hate musicals, and it was superb, just the right amount of musical. So fucking funny. She is superb in that as well. Yeah.
All right.
Looking forward to seeing that. Yeah.
And solidarity to her. Conan, do you have some final thoughts?
Yeah. So I still think that any genre film over 90 minutes should go forth before a tribunal to justify their runtime. But that's me. That's how I feel about it. I think that at 11 minutes shy of 2 hours is still a picture of restraint, right? It's a confident and bloody spin on vampire movies with a decent cast and a great, if long, setup. There's a great people trying to figure out vampire rules scene that's in there that's awesome. Dan Stevens is absolutely fantastic in this. pressurized blood bags all over the place. They're bursting hilariously. The charm isn't lost on me. It's you could do a lot worse, and boy, have movies done worse.
Yeah.
And recently. So it's a nice,
including vampire movies,
right? So it's a nice way to close the month out, because I think we've it's a whole history of the genre, and I think there's a lot of things that we covered, and it's a cool way to end it.
Yeah, and like there's gonna be we can do a little short wrap up in the after party too, and go over our trajectory or whatever. Kristina, we're gonna let you have the honorary final thoughts, the last ones.
Yeah. So when I heard that this movie was happening, I was so excited because I love Dan Stevens, I love Melissa Barrera, I love the guys who directed Ready or Not, and it was just I was so ready for it because I knew I was expecting your yellow cinematography tint. I was expecting lots of blood. I was expecting a lot of humorous dialogue, twists and turns, obviously. And for me, it delivered. This movie did have maybe one or two scenes that could have been cut short, but overall, this film was fantastic. I think the actress who played Abigail has a bright future ahead of herself when it comes to film acting. I can see her playing Cillian Murphy's daughter in a movie eventually, because they're both Irish and they know how to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they're both Irish. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah. All right.
You wouldn't even know. And I do hope Dan Stevens does more horror movies where he actually plays more villainous, sleazy guys, and hopefully this whole cast gets to work with these guys again, because it seems like they got a good thing going where they're looking for their usual collaborators in the end. If you haven't seen this movie, which a lot of people haven't because it definitely flied under the radar, go see it. I think it's on Peacock. You can stream it maybe on Tubi or something like that. It's available to watch on most platforms.
Yep, that is true. Fuck, I had something that I wanted to respond to you saying, but now I don't.
Instead of saying it's true,
that is true.
That is true. It is streaming on platforms. Yes, that is a true statement.
Look, all right, you go to the platforms. It's streaming on all the wherever you get your films.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can join us in the after party for Abigail versus Megan.
M. Thregan. Damn it.
So I was going to tell you,
Work.